Welcome back to another episode of Boom or Bust, your home for NFL Draft Talk. I'm your host, Terry, and today I'm doing my top 5 positional rankings for the class of 2018. So, for those that didn't follow the timeline, my earlier episode, round 1 is over now, and so round 1 is where I do most of my evaluation. Good 75% of it, I would say, is done in round 1. Where I'll get a really solid opinion of most of these players, and then we head into the combine. And after the combine over, that's when round 2 kicks off, so that's around where we are. And then round 2, I'll take all those things from the combine, the measurables, height, weight, hand size, all that stuff, put that into the equation, and then kind of go back and start rewatching. So round 2 is mostly important for those guys that I didn't get to see the first time. And what happens is usually as we go along, more tape comes out for more guys. After the combine, you might have 1 or 2 standouts that were unexpected and off radar. They'll get more tape. And so some of the bigger names that I didn't see earlier, I'll be able to get to see. Now, this year might be up in the air, but I got my fingers crossed, hoping that's the case. And I got more tape to kind of evaluate these guys. So that's number 1. But then also on top of that, this is where I go back and watch the guys I saw. And then I take all the new information in and I rewatch the tape and hopefully see the same thing I saw before. So I'll read the notes and then I'll go into it and see if I see the same thing. Now, sometimes it changes for good or bad. And honestly, there's no rhyme or reason, no position or whatever. It just depends kind of on what I was doing when I was watching. I mean, there's a lot of factors that can go into a change in opinion. And so this is why I go back and watch and see if the opinion is the same. And like I said in my combine philosophy video, the combine shouldn't change your opinion on a player. It should either confirm what you thought or make you go back to the tape. And so if I see something from a player, good or bad at the combine that I wasn't expecting, then I'll be looking for that on the tape as I go through round 2. So round 2 is another good round of evaluation, but it's more important for those guys that I didn't get to see. So I'm hoping and I'm excited that I get to see some of those guys. Sometimes you got to wait till round 3 as we get closer to the draft. Sometimes they just never get tape, and that you can't do nothing about that. Can't evaluate them if you don't have the tape. So, like I said, fingers crossed we get that done. So, with that being said, though, my quick thoughts on the class before we get into the position rankings. I won't say if this class is better or worse than last year. I'll wait till we get closer to the draft to kind of determine that. And especially I got to look at my old notes from last year. But I will say that it seemed like last year's class had a lot more speed and this class has a lot more strength. And I talked about this in certain position evaluations that certain positions have changed over the years because of the different spread offenses in college. And I think it's all been moving towards quicker. And so I thought the kind of old school models of the positions were gone. But then coming into this year, you see some of those throwback guys at different positions. And it was a little surprising to see, but it was nice. I mean, I think on the line for the most part in the interior, things have been the same. But, man, you got some old school body moving guards that you haven't seen in a while, I should say. You got a couple thumpers that I haven't seen in a little bit at linebacker. And even at tackle, there's a lot more size than it's been in the last few years. And we thought they were just going to get smaller and smaller and faster. And they still got better feet than before. But, man, it's a lot of strength in this class. These tackles aren't just, these aren't just guys that are converted tight ends all over the place. These are guys with some girth on them. So I'm excited to see a different flavor this year, but I will say this year has more questions. And last year with the quarterbacks, I don't think that was as much of a question as people tried to make it out. I think that was more people, and I figured it was more quarterbacks being pushed up the ladder just because of their position not really a legit debate. Because I knew in the end, teams were going to just come up and scramble for them. And none of these guys would be immediate impact. They'd take some work. And so, unfortunately, the Bears was one of them, but that's what it was. With this year, though, a handful of most of the top 5 or whatever should be starters. And I think they're ready to be starters. And so now this is a real debate this year, a real question of who's the better one, who's the one that fits what we want to do. Because I think when we get this guy, we're going to be ready to go. And so not only that, then you got the other top position players. And again, last year you didn't have a question because Myles Garrett was miles ahead. No pun intended. He was miles ahead of the other guys. But this year, Bradley Chubb is the number 1 pass rusher, but he's not a physical freak or anything. We can't say he's light years ahead of the rest of the pack. And then some of the top guys got question marks for me. You talk about a Minka, you talk about a Derwin James, things of that nature. Tackle has been bad in the league for a minute in the draft, and so you got people not believing in him, McGlinchey and whatever. So there's a lot of questions around Saquon Barkley. Great talent. Should he be a top 5 pick at running back? It's just, a lot of questions this year, I think more so than last year. So I think it's going to be a lot more intrigue and possibly a lot more movement with legit quarterback prospects and with some questions at the top positions. But anyway, so let's get into it. Top 5, we're going to start with our quarterbacks. So again, these are the guys that I was able to watch. There'll be some guys that aren't on these lists that I didn't get a proper evaluation on, but I would say everybody on the list I at least seen in some capacity. So, quarterback, number 1, I got Josh Rosen. Number 2, I have Sam Darnold. Number 3, I have Josh Allen. Number 4, I got Baker Mayfield. And number 5, I got Lamar Jackson. So for quarterback, it hasn't changed at all for me really through this whole process. This is kind of what I came in with. I will say I guess Josh Allen might have moved ahead of Baker Mayfield, but they weren't separated by that much. Overall, like I said, quarterback position, we got legit prospects. Even if you want to go to 5, Lamar, who has the most questions as a quarterback, I think he's still a legit prospect because of his arm and his ability to throw without great mechanics. So his mechanics getting better, I think he does have a legit chance to be a threat at quarterback. And then on top of that, he's just a fierce competitor. So I don't know if he moves to wide receiver anytime soon. And so I think all 1 through 5, you got legit guys. Rosen, I think, is the number 1 pick to me. I don't think he's going to be the number 1 pick, but he's number 1 pick worthy all day. He's polished in all the pro style stuff, and he's ready to go. Sam Darnold and Josh Allen for me. Josh Allen a little more so, but both with generational arms, unique arm talent. Darnold, I just don't know. I like his personality. He's not your typical quarterback, and I think he won't be the flavor for every team that meets him. And then Josh, he just was terrible on the field as a complete product. But the thing that made him move up for me is seeing him in the offseason really clean up some stuff. It's not perfect yet, but you always want to see players with the ability to get better. And so Josh Allen with his base and with his follow through and with his lower body mechanics at the combine looked completely different, looked a lot more consistent. And so I'm excited about what Josh Allen could be. You just got to figure out if he has the mental side. And then we know Baker Mayfield has the questions about him. But again, competitor, probably one of the more accurate guys. He throws with amazing anticipation. He has to work on his mechanics, and he's going to be a guy that has some debate about where he should go. But again, a legit guy that I think could be a starter. Like all these guys at their best could be starters. There's not a guy on here that I'm like, yeah, he's probably a career backup. And so, again, that's going to cause a lot of movement, I think, at the top. And then outside his top 5, Mason Rudolph, actually, I'll take it back. Mason Rudolph I like a lot. And so I think he had a case to be very similar to Josh Allen without as big of an arm. And so I like to see what he plays in this mix. But outside of those 6, I don't see a quarterback really worth talking about too much. Now we go to running backs. I got Saquon Barkley, number 1. I got Ronald Jones from USC, number 2. Then I got Raashad Penny, Derrius Guice at 4, and Bo Scarbrough at number 5. And running back was a little tough. So the one that stands out to me is Derrius Guice. I know a lot of people are like, he's my number 2. He's my number 2. He's easily number 2. I didn't see it. And I know a lot of people told me he was injured this year and last year's tape was completely different. And I honestly believe you. But that's the thing. We're not in last year. If he was injured and he played this year, either he played hurt or he recovered and just didn't recover to what he used to be. And so either way, that's a flag for me. Not saying that he's undraftable. It's just what I saw on tape this year wasn't super impressive. Now, he had a lot of versatility to his game. He's still a north and south runner, but, you can do a little bit stuff with him. And imagining what he could do with a lot more agility or explosion excites me. But I can't bank on last year's tape. I got to know if he can do that now. Now, again, I will never get to do his medicals and sit down and watch him work out. So I don't know that. I'm just going off what I see. And so that's kind of where Guice is going to end up for me. But Saquon, not much you need to talk about there. That man's a physical freak. You didn't need combine numbers to confirm that. He's a workout warrior. With some super speed, all around package. Ronald Jones reminds me of Tevin Coleman. I said this before. I like him. I like his one cut style, and I love his ability out of the backfield, his finishing speed, all that stuff. I'm excited. And after Saquon, let me just say it's a huge drop off. I wouldn't take any of these guys in the first round after Saquon. And so I got to say that, but I think there's a lot of backs this year that are very serviceable. There's a couple that I left off. And then of course you got the Georgia boys, but even besides them, Akron Wadley, I like him a lot out of Iowa. And then Kalen Ballage out of Arizona State, like him a whole lot. And then you got the Georgia boys. And so outside his top 5, you got so many backs. Like usual, backs come a dime a dozen. And I think there's a lot of serviceable guys, a lot of exciting guys. Josh Adams, the list goes on. Bo Scarbrough reminds me of Derrick Henry. Of course, same school, kind of same upright position, bigger backs that can light it up on, when they get an open lane. And they're going to block better than a lot of these guys. And they can catch a lot better than you think they can. So Bo's only thing is his injury. Honestly, if he had a clean bill of health, I would probably have him in the top 3. I'm excited. Because Derrick Henry, I felt the same way. I was really excited. He didn't get the same hype in the draft, but I think after the playoffs with the Titans, you really saw what Derrick Henry could do. So I think Bo's a lot like that. And for me, I'm on that running back train. I think there's extremely valuable, but I definitely don't think you draft them high in the draft. There's going to be backs all throughout the rounds, but Saquon gets a first round approval from me. Okay, receiver. We got Calvin Ridley, number 1. We got Anthony Miller, number 2, out of Memphis. Michael Gallup out of Colorado State at 3. Courtland Sutton from SMU at 4. And DJ Chark at 5. So, receiver is a tough one. Definitely no projected elite receiver. Now, I think any receiver can be prolific or elite, but you're talking about the Julio Jones, the AJ Greens, the Calvin Johnsons, the guys that there's a high chance he's going to be elite. There's none of that. But there's some really good receivers. And I've always said, well, not always, but I started to say that receivers are a lot like running backs now. It's kind of pick your flavor. You can get them throughout the rounds. And so people don't want to draft them high. Especially they don't want to draft them just off athleticism. And so I understand that. So you want a good mix of skill and athleticism. But Calvin is by far number one because his route running is by far the best one. And that is because of his long speed. Now, he knows how to run routes like a pro, setting them up, stuttering, stemming, all those good things. But his long speed really takes him over the top. Good hands, all that good stuff. Nothing extreme, like no 45-inch vertical, no 4.31 speed, but really strong at all the things he does, and by far the most pro ready. Anthony Miller, love him. I'm telling you, baby, Antonio Brown, and you watch him, and you got that feistiness, competitiveness that smaller guys sometimes have, and he runs routes so well. He can easily to get lost in coverage because he's smaller. And AB shows that you can do that with explosion. You can compete for the ball as a shorter guy. With a lot of good technique, you can lose guys in route running as a shorter guy. And you can do a lot after the catch when you are a yak guy. So I think Anthony has the whole all-around game. I think he can go deep. I think he can be a yak guy on the quick stuff. I think he could be a possession guy. I think he can go up for the 50-50 balls and shield people off. I'm super excited. I don't know if he'll be my number 2 when it's all said and done, but right now I'm absolutely in love with him. Then you got Michael Gallup, a guy that not a lot of people are talking about. Him and Traquan Smith from UCF, who I really want to put in top 5. They are going really under the radar. Hope the Bears get one of them. But on tape, you can see it. You can see kind of that prototypical West Coast 6-foot receiver with good routes, with explosion, with some speed. And in the Senior Bowl, you can see it. Those two were really getting a lot of balls in the Senior Bowl because they were able to get loose on coverage and able to make plays after the catch. So Michael, I really like, and all you really got to do is watch him versus Alabama. He played ball, absolutely played ball. He showed legit speed. He showed legit hands. I like everything that he does is really solid. I gave him level 4s almost across the board. So I really like what he brings to the table, but people might question the small school stuff. Courtland Sutton is a big time guy for a lot of people, but he didn't show me much. He has the size. He definitely has kind of the leadership off the field. Good kid, coachable, but he didn't show me anything worth anything as a route runner. And I know as a big body, you can be a 50-50 guy in the league, and he's going to be valuable somewhere, but I just don't feel he has enough to his game to take him or put him higher in these ranks. And then DJ Chark, he didn't have a real quarterback at LSU to give him the ball. And so you didn't know much about him, but seeing what he could do and then seeing him in the Senior Bowl and seeing him in the Combine is really getting an idea of what he could turn into, especially with that long speed that we didn't see on tape because honestly, the passing game just wasn't there for them. And so getting to see that long speed, getting to see him again play well in the Senior Bowl, I'm really excited for what he could do. There's a number of guys that I could have had at this 5 spot, and I think there's a number of guys outside of this top 5 to talk about. But DJ Chark, I think, is just going to continue to go up. And because, he's a coachable kid. He's a likable kid. He took the coaching well Senior Bowl, and you see him take those positive steps in this offseason. So I think that's just only going to help him. And then, I guess I got to address Christian Kirk. I mean, I've said it before in the receiver breakdown. I don't, I get it. I definitely get he has the speed, but I didn't see him asked to do much as a route runner. I know people say he's a great route runner. I didn't see it on tape this senior year. So I'm waiting to see kind of a little bit more from him. Maybe it's something I didn't get to watch, but and I think he's good. I think he's definitely going to be draftable in that top 5 to 7 players for the receiver, but I just don't see him as top 5 right now. Tight end's tough. This group is like nothing at all like last year. So far off. Hayden Hurst, most interesting guy. Again, former baseball guy. Those guys or people that weren't around football come in and they really take coaching well. They try to learn the details. Decent athlete, tough fighter. I don't think he's super explosive, but I think he's definitely good enough to be a receiving target, and he fights hard enough to block. Mike Gesicki, straight receiver. I mean, they asked him to block a lot in Penn State, wasn't great at it, but his explosion is off the charts. Former basketball player. I believe he blew up the combine. I didn't look at his numbers, but I would expect him to blow up the combine seeing some of the stuff he did in college, and so I think some people are really going to be excited by that upside as a receiving tight end. Number 3, Mark Andrews. I like his overall game. Overall, not a great athlete, but I like his game. Dallas, number 4. I only got to see one game, so I need to see more, but from what I did see and what I'm hearing, definitely a top 5 tight end. I think he's going to be more like in that Gesicki role where he's more of an explosive receiving option. But, again, I'm waiting to see more tape from him. But that small school stuff, that's always going to be a question. Can he translate it? And so I think he's a little bit of an exciting prospect. Then we got Ian Thomas out of Indiana. It was tough to do a top 5, I'm not going to lie. Ian was the one I saw the most of. And I do like him as a receiving threat. I thought he showed well in the Senior Bowl as a receiving threat. And he's not the most explosive, and he's definitely not the biggest guy, but I think he'll be a nice little late round pickup. Then we go to the interior. Here we go. This is one of the better interiors I've seen in a long time. I really like this interior group of linemen, especially when you talk about some of the tackles that could be guards. But number 1, I got Will Hernandez, and 2, I got Quenton Nelson. Talked about this earlier, still feel the same way. Hernandez is a beast. He's a monster, and so is Quenton Nelson. I don't, like, some people get it wrong because I'm not calling Quenton Nelson a future Hall of Famer like everybody else. That means I don't like him or I think he's not good. He's great. He's like a 5-star prospect, but so is Will Hernandez. And the thing Will does better is he keeps his hands in the right place more often. And I think he's a little more athletic when it comes to the pulls. Quenton Nelson's a huge dude. He's got feet for his size, and Will Hernandez is a huge dude too. He got feet for his size, but I think Will's a little quicker with it. And just Nelson on his pulls and stuff to the edge wasn't as strong as I thought Hernandez was. So that's just kind of what it is. But doesn't mean they both aren't top 20 picks. Then number 3, Isaiah Wynn, who I love too. I love him so much. And his versatility to play tackle as well, which he played at Georgia. And his feet that are going to shut people down at guard and his ability to pull. I thought Dorian Johnson seemed very similar. I love Dorian Johnson out of Pitt last year. I'm not sure what he's going to become in the NFL, so that scares me a little bit. But I think Isaiah Wynn playing in the SEC is a little different, and he's a little more battle-tested, especially against Bama. So I'm excited for what he's going to bring. And, man, I think, in any other year, you're talking about a first-round pick. Not even for like a top 20, but when you got Hernandez and Nelson, that's going to push him down a little bit. But I think he's amazing. And then Billy Price, love him too. Man, I love these 4. I love these guys. Billy Price, center from Ohio State, was a guard when Pat Elflein was there. Pat Elflein succeeding in the NFL really does well for Billy Price because Pat was great, but we wasn't sure if he was going to be strong enough to handle the NFL because he wasn't the biggest dude or the strongest dude, but he showed he could. And that works for Billy because Billy is like a bigger, stronger version of Pat Elflein. Taught the same way, played the same position, can play guard and center, tough, competes, loves football, all that good stuff. I know he got injured at the combine, but I don't care. He's number 4 for me. Absolutely a stud. Wyatt Taylor, love him out of VTech. Really like him, man. I think he's got some things to work on more so than the other guys, but nasty competitor, athletic, and really, really tight technique. So I'm excited to see where he goes. Might be a later round pick, but I think he's going to be a big value. Then we get to the tackles. Man, this is a lot of players. So at the tackles, Mike McGlinchey, my number one. Like, come on, I love his tape. And I said this in a different video, but the NFL and the media, all that was kind of playing him as the third guy or whatever. But now they start coming around, especially with Orlando Brown's bad combine. People are coming around like, oh yeah, Mike McGlinchey is number one tackle. And not even that. He's not no 25 to 32 pick. The man is going to go top 15 unless trades happen. But I think he's going top 15, and I think he deserves to. You talking about one of the best tackles I've seen in a while, and we had a lot of bad tackles. He's not just a dancing bear. He's a monster in the run game. He's super tall, super long. He's strong. He can move bodies, but he also got good feet to get in space. Come on. Love Mike McGlinchey. Connor Williams, same as Mike, just not as big, but I love him too. I think he might have a little more power than Mike, but I love Connor Williams. His injury history and some other stuff with Texas is the question about him. But his game tape, no lie, hands are so tight into the chest. I love it. Good feet. I love Connor Williams. Orlando Brown, this is an old school right tackle, just real big. Kind of reminds me of Zach Banner, but a lot more functional. And as much as he had a bad combine, I still think he's a great talent because size overwhelms. Not as much on the NFL level, but it will still overwhelm people. And he's just hard to get around. And I think if you get his weight down and get him with a good coach and out of that spread offense, he's going to, especially if you're a run-heavy team, he's going to be valuable. First round, late first round, I'm okay with that. Maybe second round, but I think he's definitely valuable. Then I got Tyler Crosby at 4 out of Oregon. Love his quickness, love his toughness, run blocker, zone run blocker. And then I got Alex Kappa. Only question about him is the talent he went against. Everything else is solid. I love his blocking. I love his technique. He might be a guard. I don't know. He's 6'7". I got to see what he measured at, but I think he can be a tackle. I think people are going to see him up close. And I got to watch him at the Senior Bowl. I've been watching the Senior Bowl over and over, seeing different players. I got to watch how he did there. But I loved him on tape, even though it was against lower competition. I think he really could be trained up and be another gem. Whew. Okay. So then on the edge, I combine pass rushers, DNs, all that. Number 1's Bradley Chubb, no question. The motor, the hand technique, the amazing amount of lean and bend he has on the edge for his size at 275, tenacity, personality, all that. Marcus Davenport, project, but amazing athletic skills. You got to see what football means to him. That's a cliche, but it's true because football was not his thing at first, and it took some convincing to get him to play. But the man's athletic gifts are crazy for size at 6'6". His get off is one of the best I've seen since Clowney. He can get in the backfield in an instant. He can win with just pure explosion. And so he's rough around the edges. He got a lot to learn, but getting taught at the Senior Bowl and really stepping up just in that 1 week showed a lot. Number 3, I got Harold Landry. I love him a lot more than other people. I think he has the length that makes up for his lack of height. I think he has a lot of tenacity, and he wants to get to the quarterback. I think he's seasoned. He's a leader for that team, and he's ready to work. But I love a lot of his ability and the fact that he plays a true outside linebacker in a 3-4, that he can play in coverage, that he can rush the passer, he can play the run. I think he'll step in for a 3-4 team right away. Chad Thomas out of Miami. I do admit I need to watch more tape, but what I saw made my mouth drop. As an edge guy in a 3-4, I think he projects off the charts. I got to see what he did at the combine and check all that stuff, but I'm excited for him. And then Arden Key, the only reason Arden Key made my top 5 is because he showed up at the combine 30 pounds lighter than the season. And that shows me that he's dedicated to getting better, because this season was trash. I don't care what anyone says. This season he put on tape was trash all around, from technique to his athleticism to his ability to compete. He just didn't care. And so his tape was horrible, but you see it. You see the ability to play man coverage. You see the pure size on him. 30 pounds lighter, you know the explosion's back. So I'm excited for him, but it's going to take the right team to get the stuff out of him. He could be Aldon Smith, but hopefully not in the mental game as well. Interior D lineman, we got Vita Vea, no question. Deron Payne, who I loved, number 2 all the way. He's getting a lot more love after the workouts, but man, you can see it on tape. This is a guy, one of those rare guys that can play nose tackle, but when you do stunts and blitzes in games, he can get home to the quarterback because he can hit a gap fast. Tim Settle, much of the same. You talk about a big man that can move. I love Tim Settle. I need to see more tape on him. I didn't get as much, but I think Tim might be my number 2 guy if I watch more of him, because he is ridiculous. Huge dude too. All these guys are real big, beefy boys, but Tim can move. And so Tim, I think you shed a little weight on him. Man, he could probably get away playing nose in 3 technique in the even front. He's that fast. Maurice Hurst, I'm worried about the heart issue. I want to see what it is. That's the only thing. I mean, forget talent. If you got something like that where you can't play, then it's no reason putting you on the list, because they won't draft you. And even if they draft you, you won't play. So I want to see what that is, but he has a level 5 get off, but the rest of his game needs to be worked with. But that type of get off gets you a lot. And then Rasheem Green, all projection for me. Honestly, there's other players I could have put here, but Rasheem, I think, if he gets to his potential, he's going to be great as a 3 tech, because he has such long arms and length, and he's really athletic. I think if you get him with the right coach, you can get some big results. But I would have to say that right now he's so rough around the edges and so weak at the point of attack that it's all projection right now. But the ceiling is very high. Okay, linebackers. We got Roquan Smith, I think hands down, especially showing up to the combine. What did he show up about? 10, 15 pounds heavier, still ran well. No question. Tremaine Edmonds, no question. Physical freak, 19 years old. Leighton Vander Esch, or Leighton. I'm not sure what everybody thinks of him. I love him. I love him on tape. I keep calling the next Urlacher, which is more so because of the size. They say the same thing about Tremaine Edmonds. He's not exactly Urlacher coverage-wise, but he plays the run tough, and he likes the ball. So I definitely give him. I think he's better in coverage than you would think, but he's great against the run and a pretty decent blitzer. Jerome Baker, number 4. That dude reminds me of Sua Cravens, where he could be an X factor as a nickel safety hybrid or linebacker safety hybrid, whatever you want to do. The fact that you can leave him on the field to play nickel would change the defense completely personnel-wise. And so we'll see what he does. I don't think he ran super fast, but I don't care, man. You see him on tape. He can move. He can cover. This is a different type of linebacker than we've seen before. And then Rashaan Evans, Alabama. Not like most of the Bama cats you've seen before, but I love his coverage ability. I love it. And it's a lot better than most backers you see in this class. Now, his trigger in the run game is a little slow, but I think he can get better at that, and he's got the size to be a thumper. So I like him as a 3-down backer. Definitely top two rounds picks. Cornerback, we got Josh Jackson. I had my video Josh Jackson versus Denzel Ward, so I won't get too much into that. Although I'll say Denzel kind of lighting up the combine. People are really on him, but I've already said why I like Josh better. Jair Alexander, him in the combine helped me. It didn't change much. Like, I see people putting him in the top 10 and top 15 now after the combine. That's ridiculous. I think who he was clear. I just wanted to see what the numbers were, and that kind of confirmed what I thought he was, which is much like Denzel, an athletic cover corner. Definitely doesn't have the physicality Denzel has, but that athleticism, that long speed, he's definitely one of those cover corners. And honestly, those tend to be 50-50 on whether they work out or not. Carlton Davis, I am so intrigued by him. Very long limbed corner, likes to press, like to play physical, but long strides and stay with receivers down the field. I think he definitely is rough around the edges. They played a lot of man at Auburn, but I think he can be coached up a little better. I still like him though. I think he's physical against the run. He almost built like a safety, but he covers pretty well. And I think if you get a physical press team or a cover 2 team, he's going to do really well for that team. And Isaiah Oliver, you're talking about a track decathlon or decathlete, very athletic. I think he has good instincts in the zone and on the football field. I think I like his game just overall. He could get a little better at certain techniques, but I really like his overall package and what he brings as a possible returner, but as an athlete and very coachable, disciplined in 2 sports. I think people really like what they get out of him and could probably mold him into something special. And lastly, we got our safeties. This might be a controversial one. Ronnie Harrison at number 1. Minka at 2, Derwin James at 3, Justin Reed at 4, and Deshaun Elliott at 5. Ronnie Harrison is just more traditional for me, and he plays it well. He plays traditional safety well. He comes down the alley well. He hits well. He's played single high and was able to cover the middle of the field. Athletic, all that good stuff. He just has a full package. Trained up very well at Bama. I still got to see more tape to confirm everything, but I love what I saw. Minka, as I talked about before with the safeties, it's just a question mark. Not really about him, but I didn't get to see him play those roles that a safety does. And him being a chess piece as far as a nickel and a dime linebacker and this and that and the corner, it sounds nice and it sounds cute, but the fact is he wasn't elite level at what he did. You know what I mean? He definitely can cover and he looks good and all that, but it wasn't like he was just a dominant figure at every spot that he played in. It was kind of like, okay, we plug him here and we know everything's going to be okay. We don't have to worry about that spot. It's not like, okay, plug him on the field, he's going to change the game no matter where he's at. I don't think it's that level of talent. And so it's tough to watch his tape and evaluate what he's going to be. And so that's the question mark that holds me back, putting him at number 1. Derwin James is his injury. He doesn't look like the same player from last year. Will he get back to that? I don't know. Or will this be what he is? And even what he is this year was really good. I just can't put him as a number 1 safety. Now, if he looked like he did last year, no question, number 1 safety. Justin Reed, a lot more athletic than people think. Very good range and zone, not afraid to hit. I think a versatile safety, kind of like his brother, that can be stronger free. And then Deshaun Elliott, more strong safety in the box, zone coverage, downhill hitter. I like a lot of what he brings to this game, and I like his ball skills as well. Okay, that was a lot. Wore me out. Okay, so those are my top 5 at each position. I said a lot. I'm going to wrap it up here. Go to the comment section and let me know what you thought about the top 5. Maybe give me your top 5. Yell at me because I didn't put Minka as my number 1 safety. Whatever you want to do, go to the comment section, start the convo. Thumbs up, subscribe, share it around. I'll be back with more draft content soon, and thank you for listening.